So if your visa has ever been put in 221G, administrative processing, you might be confused, what does that mean? And is my visa approved or denied? I was confused about this too, but we've got an expert friend, Mandy from Argo, who's going to talk about 221G, what it means, and what to do next in your visa interview process. Check it out. Hey friends, welcome to Chine Coaching. I'm Rob, and at Chine Coaching, we love helping guide you guys to success in your cross-cultural journeys, international students and professionals. And one of the weird things you might face in your visa journey, especially from a visa interview, is getting a response called 221G, which is a special type of processing which doesn't give you a clear answer. It's not totally a yes, it's not totally a no, and a lot of people are like, what does this mean and what do I do? And we've got those answers for you in this video. So Mandy, welcome back and go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, thanks so much for having me back, Rob. So, my name is Mandy Fierbacher, and I am a former US diplomat and ex visa officer, and I'm also a US immigration attorney. In my 7 years working as a visa officer behind the window, I have seen every type of case. I interviewed over 100,000 visa applicants, a lot of them for international students. And so, I really have sort of an insider's perspective on why things happen the way they do for your visa. And this is one of my favorite topics, the 221G administrative processing, because it almost seems like code because they don't exactly tell you what it means. And it's sort of a catch-all phrase. So we're going to dive into that today.
Fantastic. And my friends, we've made several other just awesome videos with Mandy. Great tips. Be sure to check those out as well in our visa interview playlist. But let's jump right in. Mandy, what does that 221G really mean? Can you kind of define and break that down for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So the 221G administrative processing, like Rob mentioned, it doesn't mean that your case is approved, but it also doesn't mean that it's denied. It's sort of somewhere in the middle. It really is a blanket phrase for any number of possibilities. So it basically means that the visa officer, for some reason, is not able to make a decision right now. Perhaps they want to see additional documentation. Perhaps they're a little suspicious about your case and they're going to refer it to their fraud prevention unit. So someone can take a look at the paperwork you've submitted, contact your employment, see if everything that you said in your application is really, what you say it is, which is why it's so important to be honest and forthcoming on your DS-160. What I will say, I do hear of international students and others saying, you know what, at least I didn't get refused a visa. But it's important to be clear that if you do get stuck in 221G administrative processing, it is much more likely that your case will be refused rather than approved. And one of the reasons is just practical. If an officer says, you know what, I'm not feeling great about this case, but I don't want to deny it, I'm going to give this person a chance. So they take all of your documents, including your passport, and they will look at it later on in the day. Well, guess what? A visa officer interviews about sometimes upwards of 150 people a day. By the
Wow.
time they get back to their desk, I know, isn't that crazy? That's how I used to interview 150 people a day when I worked at the US Embassy in Beijing, China. Some high volume posts like the consulate in Mumbai, New Delhi, any of the posts in
Mhm.
India. Your officers are extremely busy and
Yeah, they're just rocking them out.
exactly. So by the time they go back to your case in the afternoon, when they finally get a breather, they have about a stack of 20 cases that they've decided to put into pending status. And when they look at your case again, they're not going to remember who you are. They're going to say, you know what, obviously my gut tells me I don't feel good about this case. I'm just going to refuse, which is why for some of you, even though you initially get this letter that says, hey, you're in pending status, you might then a few days later just get your passport and a refusal letter, sent back to you. And that is what happened.
Remember one thing that you said that is interesting with the visa interview perspective is that people applying for a visa, they are guilty until proven innocent versus innocent and still proven guilty. So I think that maybe kind of applies in this situation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard so many people say, hey, if I just go into my interview and I try to say as little as possible, then I can't screw up because, they can't deny my visa because of that. Actually, they absolutely can. So it is actually your responsibility and your burden as a visa applicant to convince the officer that you qualify and you're eligible. And so instead of what most people say on the internet, which is, just try not to screw it up. What we say at Argo is to be as proactive as possible, make sure that you're giving information that the officer is looking for that will help them make their decision. The more you make it easier on the officer to approve your case, the better they can help you be on your way to the United States.
Hmm. And since 221G administrative processing is kind of this pending status, how often should people reach out to the consulate and kind of follow up to get more information?
I would recommend at least every 10 days. And you want to make sure that when you're reaching out, that you're really polite and you just say, hey, I had my interview on this date, just wanted to see what the status is. I've seen people be really rude to visa officers and their requests will just get ignored. So you don't want to be that annoying person, but at the same time, it's really important that you reach out on a regular basis so that they haven't forgotten about you. And unfortunately, sometimes they do forget about individual cases because they are so busy.
So it's helpful to politely remind them on a periodic basis.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then again, since it's a pending status, how long should people expect to wait in this 221G and how long might it take to get an answer?
Yeah, that's a great question, Rob. So it really depends on the reason why the case has been put in pending status. If they're just looking for a document from you, say your I-20 is out of date, then as soon as you submit it, hopefully you'll get your visa approved. But there are other cases for more serious reasons why they're put in the status. That could be, weeks, months. I've even heard of people being stuck in the status for years without a
Oh, wow.
conclusion. Mhm.
So it just depends on a whole lot of different factors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you say there's like a common duration or is that like just all over the board?
It's all over the board, but what you can do is if you're someone who got this letter, work with an expert, like an ex visa officer at Argo, and we can let you know, okay, this is the reason why your case is being, stuck in this holding pattern. And, if you do this, then it's likely that it'll get approved. Here's what you need to do. So it's really hard to generalize because it really is dependent on the specific situation.
My friends, if you're learning a lot, this video is helping. Give a big like and thumbs up to say thanks to Mandy sharing these helpful tips about the 221G. And our chai question for you guys in this video is, has your visa case ever been put in this 221G administrative processing? Let us know if you've experienced this. Tell us what it was like. How long did it take? What was the result? So let's dialogue in the comments about this 221G interesting kind of status that people face in visa interviews. So Mandy, now let's talk about some strategies and what are things that people can do to help get those cases kind of unstuck?
So, as I mentioned, it's first really important to know why your case is stuck, and your visa officer will not tell you. They will just say, what, here's a letter. You can wait to hear back from us. So, the only reason to really find out why is to work with an ex visa officer who used to make these decisions all the time. And generally, we can really focus in on the reason why your case got stuck and give you a strategy for what you can do to get that case moving again. I will say that, in the past few months, we've helped a couple cases where they were stuck in 221G administrative processing for over a month. As soon as they worked with us and we figured out what they needed to do and the type of correspondence they needed to have with the consulate, the visa was approved 3 days later. So that was a really wonderful feeling for us to feel like we were able to help our client. And so if this is you, you don't have to do it by yourself.
That's encouraging to hear. Yeah, there's definitely things you can do. You just don't have to sit, wait, and hope it goes well, but you can take action, be involved. And yeah, Mandy, is there anything else that y'all at Argo can do specifically if people are in this 221G administrative processing? What other ways can Argo help?
The first step is to book a consultation with us. I would also write down a transcript of what happened at your last visa interview, what you were asked, what answers you gave, and then what happened. Because when you send that to us, we'll be able to know ahead of time how to help you prepare.
You guys can kind of decipher that conversation and see where things were going.
Exactly.
Fantastic. So yeah, we'll have links for everyone in the video description, in the comments, if you want to follow up and learn more about Argo or book one of these coaching calls to really understand what's happening with your 221G, why it's in this status, and then proactive action steps you can take to move forward and hopefully get this thing approved, which would be super exciting. We've also got lots of other great videos we've made with Mandy and Ben at Argo as well about visa interviews, visa situations. Be sure to check those out because we want to really help you guys thrive and succeed. And Mandy, thanks again. I learned a ton. I'm sure this is going to help guide a lot of people get unstuck and figure out what this process means. And hopefully we'll see some good news from these 221G cases.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
My friends, also be sure to connect with us online on social media like LinkedIn, Instagram. Be sure that you're subscribed to our e-newsletter as well for helpful tips and resources and upcoming events. And thank you so much for hanging out. We love you guys being a part of the Chine Coaching community. We love sharing and learning together. And we'll see you next time. Cheers.